us the latest news. Can you talk about the significance of this video that has been released by Boko Haram and what exactly has happened?
The video being released, I guess, I don't know if it answers a lot of questions, because many people have been claiming that, like the First Lady said, that none of this has happened.
We're having a little trouble with the video stream to Nigeria, so let me take this question to Shwore. Amoyle Shwore with us, and it's really nice to see you again. I traveled to Nigeria years ago and worked with Shwore in the Niger Delta. Shwore, talk about what's happened here.
Well, maybe I should start with the update that as of this morning, they've carried out abductions of 8 more girls in a place called Warambe.
In addition to the 308 more girls were taken.
And they've taken over a township known as Gwoza, very close to Maiduguri. So what has happened here is that there are 2 things. The abduction did happen, but the Nigerian government do not want people to know that this abduction took place. And after the day after it took place, the army came out and said, you know, the girls have been rescued, only for the principal to say this was a big lie. And then for the first time, Nigerian Army or Defense Forces did retract that story. So the girls, nobody knows their whereabouts. President Jonathan says he doesn't even know where the girls are located as the chief, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces in Nigeria. And then people within his cabinet do not believe that this is some kind of conspiracy against the president, and as a result, this should not be made a major issue. As a matter of fact, it will be almost 3 weeks now that the abduction had taken place. We're just getting to put pressure on him, or he's responding to pressure 2 weeks after. It is likely because of the World Economic Forum that is taking place. So nothing is known about the whereabouts of the girls, and there's just a lot of speculation as to where they are. What I know, and I can tell the public here, is that Boko Haram has begun to create his own territory within 4 countries: Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. So whenever they do anything, they carry out their own little government within that turf. So when they say they are distributed in Niger, no, there's nothing like Niger, Chad, or Cameroon anymore. Boko Haram has its own country now.
Who are they? Who is Boko Haram?
Well, these are Islamic militants that became really deadly when the Nigerian government in 2009 went in, extrajudicially killed their leaders. And they never got justice, and it was known that this was like mass killing by the Nigerian government of a largely fanatic but peaceful group that had schools and preached, that Islamic, they want pure Islam to reign in Nigeria. But it was not until the Nigerian police went and killed their leaders that Boko Haram became a big problem for Nigeria and Nigerians.
What does Boko Haram mean?
Boko Haram means Western education is a sin. They don't, but you'll be shocked that most of their leaders and operatives are actually graduates. So, speak fluent English very well, because we used to be able to talk to some of them, but now they've mostly gone on the ground and become more deadly.
And since they launched their uprising 5 years ago, what has the situation been like in the north? I mean, unfortunately, this is one of dozens of atrocities. We've had massacres. Back in February, there was the burning of a school for boys. Around 50 boys died.
Yes.
What has the situation been under this Boko Haram campaign?
Well, what we're seeing now is that they're increasingly becoming bolder. And like I said, they are creating territory, and they are becoming a regional problem in that region of 4 countries where you have Chad, Niger, Cameroon, and Nigeria. They are creating a territory there, and they are carrying out more deadly activities, not only in Nigeria, but even in Cameroon. In Cameroon yesterday, they broke into an army barracks in northern Cameroon and freed one of their 2 high-profile leaders from an army barrack. They become more audacious to the extent that when they go for attacks, they actually film the attacks and release the edited videos of the attacks. So that tells you that these guys are not joking. We may just wake up one day and find out that these guys have overrun parts of Nigeria, especially northern Nigeria. And they are coming closer and closer to the south. I mean, in the last 3 weeks, they've bombed a major bus station in Abuja twice. And there was a raid this morning of a primary school, which the police is saying is just armed robbery, but you never know.
Nigeria is Africa's most populous country, and Abuja is the capital of Nigeria. Over the weekend, Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan held his first meeting with outraged parents. This following criticism that the government responses to their daughter's kidnapping. In a televised interview with a panel of journalists, Jonathan pledged to win the girls' release.
We promise that wherever these girls are, we'll surely get them out. One good thing that I'm a bit happy, and I believe most Nigerians are happy, is that there's no story that any of them has been hurt in terms of injured or death. I really sympathize and express my empathy to the parents and the relatives and, of course, the guardians of these girls. We are all fathers or mothers. If your daughter of school age, these are people who are to write their secondary school terminal exams. So there are people from about 17 to 18 years old. And they are under such circumstances. It is traumatizing. It's quite painful. But let us reassure them that we'll get their daughters out.
That's the Nigerian president, Goodluck Jonathan. Parents are outraged at the lack of government response. I mean, just to put this in perspective, 300 girls taken, more today. There were certainly fewer, what was it, something like 275 people on the Malaysian airliner. The whole world was involved in what happened to this airliner. These are children who have been kidnapped. Sure.
Well, I would think that if half of the resources spent, if half of the aircraft put in the air to search for debris in the ocean looking for the Malaysian airline was put in this particular part of Nigeria, would have rescued the girls by now and probably ended the insurgency. But the truth is that, you know, an aircraft is an elite system of transportation. More people probably die on road accidents in Nigeria every day, and nobody cares. But, you know, when you have to deal with rich people and, you know, people who are more concerned, and of course, you know, airliners are big businesses around the world. So, but I'm not in any way trying to say that the Malaysian airline crash or whatever happened to it is less important than these girls, but I think it would have been fair if they would pay the same amount of attention to finding the girls, you know, and not, in a way, just talking about it, you know, hashtagging it without really physically trying to rescue the girls. I was listening to President Jonathan. He says he's going to rescue the girls, but he turns around in the same media chat that he doesn't know their location. How do you rescue people whose location you can't even track? I mean, people you can't even track. So that's a dilemma for Nigeria, but this is what we've been saying on our website, that this government, the Nigerian government, has been so corrupt, too corrupt to get anything done. Just 2 months ago, they fired the central bank governor because he said over $50 billion was stolen by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Army generals are pocketing monies meant for buying weapons, motivating soldiers and police that are supposed to be fighting Boko Haram. We publish all of this. We obtain pictures from soldiers who are fighting Boko Haram, who have nowhere to sleep, you know, have no water to drink, have no good food to eat. So Boko Haram is actually better equipped and better motivated than the Nigerian army or the Nigerian police and security forces fighting them. So that's the major dilemma. You know, this is, again, the outcome of years of corruption that has ravaged Nigeria for the last 50 years, you know, within which over $500 billion has been stolen by Nigerian elite, sometimes to buy private jets.
I want to ask you about the Nigerian government's response, their counteroffensive to the Boko Haram, because that has also brought allegations of civilian deaths. Last June, the New York Times reported on the accounts of Nigerians in the north who accused the military of a terror campaign in their offensive to root out the Boko Haram. The refugees described, quote, indiscriminate bombing and shooting, unexplained civilian deaths, nighttime roundups of young men by security forces. All spoke of a climate of terror that had pushed them in the thousands to flee for miles through the harsh and baking semi-desert, sometimes on foot to Niger. A few blamed Boko Haram, a shadowy, rarely glimpsed presence for most residents, for the violence. But the overwhelming majority blamed the military, saying they had fled their country because of it. What about this, the Nigerian military in their effort to root out Boko Haram committing atrocities?
Well, the Nigerian military has always been known for brutality and high-handedness. I was a student union activist for years in Nigeria, and we experienced a long period of military rule. They have no respect for human rights, and so I'm not surprised that we're hearing. And we've documented several of these killings, indiscriminate killings of civilians. As a matter of fact, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, Boko Haram became deadly because of this high-handedness, this reckless, extrajudicial killing of its innocent leaders, innocent members at that time. We won't say innocent leaders, but by the time they were killing them, these guys had not become as deadly as we know now.
I want to go back to Ijoma Uduma. We have you now on audio Skype in Lagos. What are you calling for right now?
Well, we're asking the government to commit as much resources as possible and take it seriously, because the utterances from both the president and his wife show us that really they're not taking they think it's a political thing. They think we are doing it because we want to be against them. But really, pardon my French, we couldn't care less about them. It's more about these girls. These are ordinary 16-year-old girls who should be at home gossiping with their friends, especially having finished their exams, but they are not. Though they are ordinary, but they are also extraordinary, because in some states in the north, the girl education completion rates for schooling is as low as 8%, meaning that 92% of girls don't finish high school. But these young girls wanted to be different. They wanted to go beyond what was normal for people around them. And you could see that even their parents as well wanted them to be different. They were desperate. Even though they knew there was the risk of, this happening, they also knew that this was the only opportunity for them to break out of the cycle of both violence and poverty in which they were in. So this, what we are calling for is for the government to take this seriously and stop playing politics with it.
Are you calling for other governments to get involved, Ijoma?
If that is what is necessary, because watching the video of this Shekau, it makes your blood boil. You see how relaxed and how confident he is, because he's been dealing with the Nigerian government for several years, and we've heard the Nigerian president say, "Oh, we've chased them to the fringes." So he's now saying, "Hello, I'm on the fringes and I'm causing trouble for you. I'm taking your children from the schools, the children, they were taken in the middle of the night. So this is practically from their beds that they've been taken." So this is really, I don't know how much more of a confrontation the president needs for him to decide that this is serious.
And Ijoma, why do you think it took him so long to even meet with the families and to offer up a response?
I don't even know if he has met with the families. I think because also this is their election campaign period and the bombings have been going on, and the same lackadaisical attitude has been shown to all these things previously. So I think it was the same, it has happened. In fact, this morning, in his way of condoling the Kenyans with regards to the bombing that happened there, what he told them was, it's happening in Kenya as well. This was what our president said in response to something like that happening. So to him is another day at the office. But what has made this different is that now it's not just us Nigerians talking about it. The whole world is talking about it. Yes, we are just hashtagging, but guess what? Everybody all over the world are also hashtagging and putting pressure on the government. So this is what we want, for people to keep talking, keep tweeting, keep calling, keep protesting. That's what is putting pressure on the government.
Ijoma Uduma, we want to thank you for being with us, Nigerian writer and former journalist, and Omoyele Sowore, thank you so much. We're publisher of SaharaReporters.com.
We have a rally today in front of the Nigerian embassy.
In New York City.
Yes, in New York City at 12 noon.